It's melt season at Burger King,
which means it's time to reward yourself for all that you do with a warm, cheesy BK melt. Choose between classic, bacon, or shroom and Swiss for only $4.99. Seize the melty moment and enjoy.
You rule your season today at BK. Have it your way.
Made with 2 Whopper Junior patties. Limited time at participating U.S. Burger King restaurants. Price may vary.
Don't you love it when things are both easier and more affordable? Like when the rain washes your car for you. Or like when you save up to 10% by bundling your renters and auto insurance with USAA. Bundle with USAA and start saving. Get a quote today.
It is interesting to have like a non-lethal hero. Like he specifically at times is trying to not be lethal, and that's interesting to have that as like a proposition for your hero, is that he doesn't kill anyone.
Really, really dumb sequels are all we're kind of getting, or reboots. Like this is a really kind of clever, engaging action story that is just really story driven, and the performances are really good, and I just wish we had more of these and less of the other crap. Hello everybody, joining Flixwatcher today we have Will.
Hi there.
Russell.
Hello there.
And Kobe.
Hello.
And we're going to be talking about Rebel Ridge.
Thank you as always to the mighty people for their tunes that you can hear right now, and thanks to Ben from Rockwood Audio for editing this podcast episode and all of the Flixwatcher episodes. If you want to head over to Spotify and Apple Podcast or Pocket Casts, if you have that, it's very niche, you can give us a 5-star rating and a glowing review. And if you want to join the conversation with us, find us on social media at Twitter. We are at FlixWatcherPod over there, but also we're on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky and TikTok at Flixwatcher.
Hello film fans, welcome to this episode of Flixwatcher Podcast. Our guests today are Russell and Will. Over to you please, Will, to say hello to our listeners and tell them a little bit more about who you are and what you do, please.
Hi there, I'm Will. I'm an occasional podcast guest on the likes of Russell's podcast, and I've done a few others. Yeah, that's it. I'm just a big film fan, and yeah, I've done a few podcasts.
And Russ?
I am Russell. I am a podcaster. I run the Not Just for Kids podcast and a sort of side monthly podcast called There Can Only Be One. And I also co-host film quizzes twice a month from the Port Mahone in Oxford.
So film quiz is how myself and Helen met. Have you ever done the Bigger Boat film quiz? Have you heard of it?
I've not, but I've watched them for many years from afar. Like social media, I've watched them and thought it was fabulous. Part of the reason why I do my quizzes because I was like jealous of their quizzes. So yeah, that's part of the inspiration.
Well, I mean, that's bizarre. You've watched them and you've never participated. You have to come down.
Well, no, I have to come out and do it at some point. Is it still running? I haven't.
Yeah, they're not having one this month. They're a slightly reduced number across the year, but the next quiz is February. So yeah, if you're all looking to join, we could probably have you as a guest on our team. But you have to be ready to buy the tickets because they're hot tickets.
It's kind of strange. When I first started, there was like 3 per month. Obviously the same, well, not obviously, the same quiz, but just at 3 different pubs across London. Plus, I think there's like a franchise one as well, which was like in Oxford, where someone else like took the questions and did their own thing. And then now one of them lives in Manchester and now has like 3 kids. So it's just that only time to do 1 per month. So all that, I feel kind of sorry that all the effort, because there's a lot of effort that goes into it, it's just for 1 quiz per month, which just shows how much they love it, I guess.
Yeah.
They're great fun to run. They're really fun to run. I've been doing it since last year, and we've just now in a venue. We used to travel around Oxford and do it in different venues once a month, and now there's a pub that liked us and wanted us to do it twice a month. So yeah, it's very early days being in this new venue, but I'm very happy to be in a single place and just doing it and getting asked people weird film questions.
Do you have any favourite film team names or any good team names? Because I always find that that's always a particular highlight. People really knock it out the park.
I mean, so we give out 2 prizes each quiz to the 2 best team names, but I can't remember what the last couple have been. There's always a few, so it's either there'll be fun film puns. If you make me laugh, it helps. We have a cinema in Oxford called the Ultimate Picture Palace, or the UPP, and there was a rivalry at our last quiz between them and another team that called themselves the was it the U Poo Poo or something like that? Some derogatory name, and they were having like this rivalry. They were the top two teams. It was very funny. I liked their name. It was Challengers, but there are 7 of us, and I liked that as a name for them. That was my favorite of the last quiz.
And tell us quickly about your podcast.
Oh yeah, so it's not just for kids. I have started since 2020. We look Lockdown Pod that has consisted. It's actually going to come to an end in 2025 once I finish this series, but I have done a bunch of different topics all around family films and the films we've got over. So I've done Studio Ghibli, I've done Spielberg, I've done musicals. Right now I'm doing teen cinema because it's always been my ambition to end on like teen and coming of age films because it kind of like transitioning away from what we used to watch. And yeah, Will has been on many times. We've done lots of random things. Yep. We did this random thing called the Jurassic Park Connections because we're both obsessed with Jurassic Park. We did like films featuring creatives involved in Jurassic Park. So a Dean Cundy film, a Laura Dern film, etc., etc. We did Exorcist 3 because of Samuel L. Jackson being in it for approximately half a second. he's in it in a dream sequence and dubbed. It's strange. So that's the podcast. And then there can only be one is an offshoot I had of this. I just love making people have difficult choices. So I got on 2 guests. We get a topic like the last one was So Bad It's Good films. We did Christmas films. We've done Feel Bad Day Ruiners. That was a fun episode. We pick 4 films each. There's 12 films, and we vote it down to 1 film over the course of like an hour and a bit. And it's really great fun. But also, at some point, someone will tell me off for making them choose between 2 films they love.
Well, we did Spielberg, didn't we? And fell out. So that was good, yeah.
We've had some fallouts on this podcast where someone's brought a film in and there's been the opportunity for the other partner to say,
this film's your favourite film ever is the worst film ever made. I don't think I can trust your opinions anymore.
Yeah, Russell said that E.T. was annoying, and I still haven't forgiven him, to be honest.
I stand by my view that E.T. as a character is very annoying.
Let's not start again, mate.
If you ever want a guest on your shows, not just for kids in particular, I'm happy to step in.
Yeah.
But we're here to talk about Rebel Ridge, very much an adult's film.
Yes.
Can you tell us first of all why you chose it, and then we'll kick off with a synopsis?
Yeah, so you mentioned it's an adult film. I like when I come on podcasts picking stuff that I will never get to cover on my own podcast. And this is like, it came out last year and it just, I remember it being recommended by lots of different people online and watching it and being slightly blown away that this like Netflix film had snuck out there. And then I recommended it to loads of people and they all loved it. Like as a family, like all my siblings and my dad watched this independently and had a great time with it. So yeah, I picked it because it's probably the last Netflix film I watched. I was like, this is why I like Netflix.
Fair play. The synopsis timer starts now.
Cool. So this is director Jeremy Saulnier, who has previously made films including Green Room, Blue Ruin, and Hold the Dark, returns to Netflix with a new action thriller. What begins as a heavy-handed traffic stop that prevents a former Marine, played by Aaron Pierre, posting bail for his cousin, leads to an escalating fight involving a corrupt local police chief, played by Don Johnson, the Forcey leads, and a kindly courthouse worker played by AnnaSophia Robb, caught in the middle.
Lovely.
Nice.
I wrote it several times to be like, no, this has got to sound slick and smooth.
I mean, yeah, don't worry about it. So I guess, has anyone seen this in the cinema? I guess is the first question. One of the main challenges we have with Netflix films.
No, I'm not even sure this got a cinema release, but no, I didn't see it.
Which is quite strange because it's not. I mean, Jeremy Saulnier is a renowned filmmaker. Aaron Pierre, Don Johnson. Aaron Pierre's on the up and up.
I think he's on the up and up because of this, almost like this seems to have kind of boosted his star somewhat. I
mean, this has definitely put more people to his attention, but he's definitely on up and coming with, like, he was in the Underground Railroad. He voices Mufasa in Mufasa, so people certainly knew about him before this. So this is definitely, obviously the problem with voicing and animation is that people don't know what you look like. And
he's now going to be in Green Lantern Corps, I think it is, the TV version of Green Lantern. I think he's in that as one of the Lantern heads.
I mean, yeah, I was like, he's going to be in a superhero film franchise at no point. Yeah, there's that kind of build and size and stuff like that works for him. But yeah, so no one saw it in cinema, which is a shame. When Wake Up Dead Man comes out, it should be in the cinema for like at least a couple of weeks, like rust there and watch that with other people. Jeremy Saulnier films then. Have you guys seen Blue Ruin and Green Room? What was the third one? I've not seen that one before.
Hold the Dark, I think it's called. It's his first Netflix film. I think it stars Jeffrey Wright. It's not as good as this. It's beautifully shot, and it kind of has that slightly somber but pulpy tone he has. But it doesn't have like this has like this propulsive plot running through it, and it just is quite relentless. Whereas that feels quite slow and static. Whereas like Blue Ruin and Green Room both have an energy to them, have like a pace to them, and I think that's when he's really good for me, is when he's got like this pace to his work. Particularly Green Room. I think Green Room is phenomenal and terrifying in equal parts, and kind of prescient of where America was, but not really talked about, and now where it's got to. So there's this thing in his films, I feel, that he's kind of like very good at commenting without commenting on American today.
Yeah, I haven't seen Hold the Dark. I don't know why. Maybe because I heard that. I think maybe I was annoyed because there wasn't a film that started with red or another colour.
Yeah,
and I was hoping to fulfill that trilogy, which he still hasn't done with Rebel Ridge. But I loved Blue Ruin to bits. I thought it was absolutely astonishing. And what's the main character that he's used with a couple of times? The main actor.
I can't remember his name, but he's recognisable. He's made his own films as well now, I think.
Michael Blair.
Yeah, Michael Blair. I was going toward Michael Monroe. That's not Michael Monroe.
No.
Yeah, so Michael Blair, who has been in his films in Blue Ruin, he's such an unassuming like revenge person versus Aaron Pierre is like, okay, you don't mess. You would, if you saw Michael Blair, you think I can mess with him, no problem. If you see Aaron Pierre, you're like, no, I'm not going to mess with that guy because he can kick the shit out of me if he wanted to, and yeah, he wants to a few times in this film. What about yourself, Helen? Let's go to you. Jeremy Saulnier, yay or nay?
Yes, so I love Green Room and Blue Ruin, probably slightly Blue Ruin more. I just loved how violent they were as well. I just thought like, yes, fuck yes. Bring this on.
This is a bit less violent, wasn't it?
No one's arm is almost hacked off in this, so it doesn't go that far.
Reflected on this, I was a bit disappointed watching it. I was kind of waiting for the violence to come, and then I was like, you know what, maybe his films don't all have to be incredibly violent, and they can be equally enjoyable to you without being a complete bloodbath where people get hacked apart. So yeah, this had kind of been on my radar, and I was a bit like, why has this come straight to Netflix? Like, is it bad? Because if it's bad, then it would be a real shame considered the talent involved. But yeah, so I was glad you picked it to kind of like make me watch it a bit quicker. But yeah, I mean, this is really good. And I kind of wonder whether more people haven't seen it because it's just like a really, really clever, intelligent action film and is maybe lacking a bit on the stupid action. And it kind of has like a little bit of like Western-y vibes, which Westerns aren't really for me, but in kind of like the central place where all the action is and everything around it.
And is it because it's a Netflix film with the word rebel in it and people think it's a prequel to another franchise they have?
Yeah, Rebel Moons around at the same time, which people might be confused about. But yeah, it's got a really strong cast as well. Don Johnson's in it. We really talked about Aaron Pierre with his incredible eyes. Like Kobe says, you won't mess with him, looking straight in the eyes. But yeah, it had me hooked and I was guessing and I was like, where's this going? What's going on? What are they uncovering? So yeah, a nice bit of a kind of mystery behind it with some really good like action scenes, like the kind of the big set piece with the kind of the triggering the car alarms and everything was really clever. So yeah, really, really good, I thought.
Will?
Yeah, I really like it. I like his stuff anyway. Like Green Room is superb. He's got this way of ramping up the tension. I think maybe with this one, it didn't do as well, or maybe that's why it didn't. I think it was almost expected that it was going to be a Taken or a, which is not. Because I know people who've seen have said, oh, they found it a bit boring because it doesn't come to that big, kick off, which you, like you say, you kind of expect. But I think it works better for not, because it does play the expectations a bit. But yeah, I really like it. Like, I like his stuff. Hold the Dark is a much slower thing, but Blue Ruin and Green Room are incredible.
I mean, did you think it's as violent as it could it have been more violent for you, Will? I'm asking.
I'm a big horror fan, so yeah, give me violence. But I like the fact that it kind of played with my expectations a bit, because that tension is building up to what you expect it should do. Like I say, like you're Taken and those type of films, but it doesn't really do that. It's a much cleverer film. I think it's got more to say than those. It reminded me a lot of First Blood.
Yeah.
Because I think that's remembered as like, because of Rambo, it's remembered as this big action, but it's not. It's a much slower, dour film, and it doesn't really come to those things. So yeah, I like the fact that it didn't go into silly action. Not that I've got anything against silly action. I love it. But I did quite enjoy the fact that it didn't do that.
It is interesting to have like a non-lethal hero. Like he specifically at times is trying to not be lethal, and that's interesting to have that as a proposition for your hero, is that he doesn't kill anyone. And it does escalate, and I did expect more deaths by the end, but yeah, it doesn't ever get there, but it does escalate in an enjoyable way.
And the initial acronym scene is one of my favourite of the year last year. Such a good moment.
So explain that.
When they initially realise what they're dealing with, when he's explaining acronyms. It's such a great, the writing, and it's a proper moment where you can see a star in the making, because he is so good in that scene.
So that's why he's declared what he is, but they don't know what that means.
Yeah.
And then he's having a standoff with Don Johnson, the police chief outside, whilst guys are Googling. What's his name?
And the line is, he's on the Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Which I wrote down. I thought that was quite funny.
And then once they realise who he is, they start to scramble outside to kind of stop like Don Johnson making any... Don't be stupid! He can fuck you up! Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, that's super understated. Once I realise what they're dealing with, it just becomes it just changes the game a bit as well, doesn't it? And it constantly changes all the way through the film. And then you got the story with, he's there just to get his cousin, is it?
Yeah.
On bail. Cousin, doesn't make it through the film. And then it becomes like, right, let's sort this out. And I thought it was, I guess it didn't need to be violent. And the way he's disarming people rather than destroying, again, is like nice kind of breath of fresh air. And I really enjoyed it. I really did. I don't know why I'm contemplating it.
I really like the line he says, I think it's to Don Johnson, that he was thinking about stopping, but he decided not to. It's better when he says it, but like I really like that. Like again, you saying it's a Western is a really good comparison. He has that very much that man of no names vibe to him, that he's he's very low key and he's very unassuming until he takes someone's shotgun from their arms, which is a cool moment where he like snaps it open and like disarms someone who's got a shotgun. He's a great hero in this. It's a great like hero figure.
There's two really interesting female characters in this, because they could be kind of like relegated or love interests or something like that, but they're both kind of quite crucial to the story and how it unfolds. And I feel that often women in action films don't really get much substance to their roles, so I really enjoyed those two roles alongside.
So who are these roles? Explain a bit more.
So one of them is she's like a trainee lawyer. I don't really understand law.
She works in the courthouse.
Yeah.
I had her as kind of like a clerk in my head, but...
Summer, and also has her own history of addiction and a child in care, and everything kind of rests on like her being clean to kind of continue that relationship, which the police officers find out about. And then there's the role of Officer Jessica Sims, who is kind of a small player at the start, but as the story kind of comes on, she becomes quite a crucial member of the team towards the end, and kind of like sort of twist, not really a twist, sort of reveal kind of thing. So yeah, the two kind of interesting roles there that I was quite pleased to see.
And we obviously get James Cromwell for, I think, a scene. He pops up as the judge, and it's always nice to see Babe's owner in a film.
And his cat. There's a cat in there as well, isn't there?
Is there anything else guys want to say before we head to the scores?
No, I had fun watching this again. It was great. I think I'm going to watch this every couple of months, because it's just...
Every couple of months?
Mate, I think so.
Wow.
It's got a good Sunday afternoon vibe to it. It's the kind of film I'd watch with my dad on a Sunday afternoon, and we wouldn't say anything for 2 and a bit hours, and they'll go, that was a good film. That was a good film. Then we carry on with our day.
Well, let's head to the scores.
I'm Sam.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
I'm Clements, host of the 90 Minutes or Less Film Festival, another podcast in the Stripped Media family, a podcast that celebrates movies under 90 minutes long. Each episode, I'm joined by a special guest who selects a movie to join our prestigious lineup. Past guests have included fellow Stripped Media family members Martin and Sam from Song by Song, and Kobe from Flixwatcher, and Dave from The Wire Stripped. Search for us now on the app you're currently listening to this podcast, or join us at 90minfilmfest.com.
Welcome to our Flixwatcher scores. They're always out of 5. You can have decimal places if that's your thing. And we'll start with you, please, Russell, with your recommendability.
I'm going to give this a high one because I think it's really recommendable. So probably 4.4 because, again, I recommend this to several people and they've all dug it. And so it's in my back pocket as a film to recommend on Netflix.
I like that because when people ambush you, what's now? I'm like,
Yeah.
So I like the idea of having something in the back pocket. Maybe I'll refresh that back pocket recommendation on a weekly basis.
Or just recommend something terrible and they won't ask you again.
Or just recommend the podcast. Just go, well, I've got the podcast
yeah.
just for you.
I keep on, and Helen knows this, my wife is from Prescott, which is where the main character from Saltburn is based. And she hasn't seen Saltburn yet. And I keep on telling her to watch it because it's based. I say it's about a guy from Prescott, and that's all. That's the whole thing. But I want her to watch it with her mum.
So cool.
Mum might enjoy it. Might like the last scene.
Maybe. Yeah. She's into that.
Will, your recommendability score, please.
Yeah, I go 4.2 because it's a great film, but not enough people have seen it. So yeah, 4.2.
Helen?
I think I'd go like a 4.7 because I feel like this is such a good film and it just quietly landed on Netflix and it's had really good reviews, but like no one's really talking about it. And I just think it's just really, really good. And in an era where sequels and really, really dumb sequels are all we're kind of getting.
Or
like
reboots.
Yeah, or reboots. Like this is a really kind of clever, engaging action story that is just really story driven and the performances are really good. And I just wish we had more of these and less of the other crap.
I often wonder with Netflix films how big an impact they make because, like Knives Out, for example, loved it. But I'm not sure, not enough people saw that. Hitman, I don't think enough people saw that last year. And these are all good films, but then also you have like the crappy ones like The Grey Man and Red Notice and things like that.
I don't think anyone saw that, did they?
I think with Netflix films, because they just are literally a flash in the pan, they're just there for like the weekend where it comes out and then people kind of forget about it. So it's not like Stranger Things where it goes on for at least a week, for a while as people pick it up and then pick it up and it gets a bit of like a snowball effect. I think quite a few people did see it, but yeah, whether you heard about it or not is a different thing. 4.5 for me. Loved it. I thought it was really good. Look forward to more from everyone involved. But Jeremy Saulnier needs to do a red-based film before I can die. Before I can die happy. Repeat viewing score. Russ.
Yeah, let's go for 4.5. I would go higher, but I'm not sure I gleaned much in a rewatch of this. I think I had the same kind of like rush of watching the action and getting invested in the story, but I don't think there's anything deeper to dig into here. I think it's a great watch.
Didn't you say you're going to watch it like every 2 months?
Well, every 6 months. I think I said every 6 months.
Okay.
I watch a lot of films. I watch hundreds of films a year, so it's just kind of like when I want to whack on something easy. I think this is quite an easy watch for me.
Okay. I will.
Yeah, I go a little bit lower than that. I'd probably go with 3.9, only because I think it's great, but I don't think you'll get much more out of it on rewatches. I think that rush of that, like they've said, that scene and things when you first see it is great. But now I've seen it twice, I can't see myself watching it again for a long time.
Helen.
Yeah, so nothing to do with repeat viewing, but I was just looking at Aaron Pierre's back thing. I was like, oh, where is it? I've seen him. And then I remembered I'd looked at this before and it made me laugh. He was mid-sized sedan in Old. That's it. That's where you've seen him before.
I was going to mention it, but
with the best character name.
But I can't bring myself to talk about that film anymore.
It's on Netflix, so future guests, if you want to pick Old and have fun chats about mid-sized sedan with me, it's up there. Also, he is joining the Blade, presumably reboots, re-thingies.
If it gets made.
Whatever's
I'm not sure that's happening.
Anyway, if it gets made, yeah. Wikipedia needs to update. Repeat viewing. So I've only seen this once. Maybe I'll see it again. I'm going to give it a 3. Yeah, I enjoyed it, but like, if Saulnier makes another film, I'd watch whatever he does next ahead of rewatching this, I think.
I'll give it a 3 as well. I definitely want to watch it again. Not so soon afterwards. Maybe next year, probably the earliest. Small screen score. Interesting. Russ.
So I wish I'd seen this in the cinema. I do think at times it would have benefited from a cinema watch.
Yeah.
Because it has a sweep to its visuals, which is lovely, and it looks expensive in an easy way. So maybe we'll go for 3.5, because you can watch on the small screen. I think it's fun on the small screen, but there is something about, I would love to watch more of these kind of films in the cinema. I'd love there to get proper releases for like those slightly old-fashioned thrillers that we don't get too many of in the cinema.
Will?
Yeah, I'd go along with Russ and 3.5, because there's parts of it would benefit from a big screen and a crowd. Like, I think that the scene we talked about would go gangbusters with a crowd. And yeah, 3.5, I'd say.
Helen?
Yeah, go on. I'll say the same, 3.5. Like, I would have liked the opportunity to have seen this, and I think it would have transferred pretty well into the big screen, and it would have been good to kind of see the crowd who were like, oh, was there going to be any violence in this, having been fans of his previous work.
Okay, let's go 3.5 again. Yeah, definitely would have loved to see this in the cinema. I think it just would have been a good vibe. Friday night opening, everyone waiting with bated breath to see what happened, and I don't think it would have been disappointed. Engagement score, Russ?
I'll give it a 4. I'm very engaged by this film, but I do think there are like lulls at times. Like, it kind of ramps up and slows down, and ramps, like there's a bit where he goes to a bar to get his wound tended, and I can see myself kind of, my attention slightly listing away at that point, but then being re-engaged by another great action scene. So we'll go 4.
Will?
4.2, because I think it is engaged, because the open in the beginning is so propulsive, especially when you come to that scene, you are kind of hooked in by him as well. Even if the big set pieces don't come, you are waiting for them. So yeah, 4.2.
Helen?
Yeah, I'm going to give this 4.5. I was hooked and intrigued where the story was going to go, and like what was it they were hiding, and what was the kind of motivations and how it was all going to pan out. So yeah, 4.5.
I think, yeah, for this watch, I'm going even higher than you guys, 4.75, because it wasn't super clear what was going to happen. It wasn't super clear where it was going to go, and it pulled me along all the way through. And that gives us an overall score of 3.97813, just a shade under that 4 mark. I thought it might have made it over the 4. It's a repeat viewing score. We all maybe gave it less points, fewer points than I thought we would have done. 3.97813. Will, Russ, thank you very much for joining us again. Thank you very much for picking Rebel Ridge. Can you tell everyone who's listening where we can find you online, and they'll say goodbye to all the listeners?
You can find me at Russ Loves Movies in all the various places. I don't really tweet too much, but I'm on like Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, and my podcast is Not Just for Kids, and those movie quizzes at the Port Mahone, and they're under the banner of Keeping It Real Quizzes.
Nice.
Will?
You'll find me on X, sort of, or whatever it's called now. But I'm mainly on Instagram and Blue Sky at Will Chich, and probably will be annoying Russell on his podcast at some point, no doubt.
Guys, thank you so much, and we'll say goodbye to everyone who's listening.
Cheers, thanks.
Bye.
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 Enjoyed this episode of Flixwatcher podcast? Why not leave us a 5-star review on iTunes? You can also follow us at FlixWatcherPod on Twitter, and we're at FlixWatcher on Instagram. Thanks as always to the mighty people for their mighty tunes and Rockwood Audio's editing skills. If you're looking to get your podcast edited as sweet as this, get in touch with Rockwood, ROKK Wood Audio. Tell them Flixwatcher sent you.
You just heard a Stripped Media production.